Alright, it's a very sleepy Saturday afternoon, but I thought I'd go live because why not? So, what I wanted to cover today, since I wanted to tackle something a little different, would be this guy, Kyle, uh, Orthodox Kyle. This dude is obsessed with orthodoxy, which is really weird to say. It sounds incorrect, but it's not. So it's like, dang it, that's just weird. Um, that's what his channel is. Is just it's the typical religion bro channel, and there's very little of this I actually care about. Manosphere to God, pipeline, female deacons, how subversion happens. This is so much just bullshit. Your typical theist, right wing adjacent crap that I'm just so fucking tired of seeing. I want something different in the world. Just something. Um, I also find it a little interesting that he does this thing of regular video, members only video. It's just something I noticed as a creator, a pattern he has going on. But what we're going to do today is look at this one here titled Deconstructing Online Atheism with a thumbnail saying truth about online atheism. And of course, you got to have R and Raw in there, genetically modified skeptics, Drew. Where the hell the guy in the middle is? Oh, no. Yeah. And I can't help but notice that these two both look like horror movies. This fancy font, Holy Eucharist, looks like a goddamn horror movie opening. And Cradle Orthodox Stories, which I'll admit the Orthodox cross is fucking awesome looking. Like, that is seriously a badass symbol variation. I'll give props to that. Not that, this guy, came up with it, but still. Um, but still, it looks like a damn horror movie. And science! Science Man. Oh man, now I wish I was a member so I could see what the hell Science Man is about. I never really looked this closely. Um, but yeah, I guess now's the time to go on and crack right into this one. Let me pop up the chat. Oh, chat's popping already. Hell yeah. Well, let's click on the video and get going.
Atheist, I think you did one on cosmic skeptics.
Yeah. Where people like to say that they're skeptics because they question all of their beliefs, it's like, I'm not really interested when I'm trying to find the test of a true skeptic. I'm not really so interested in their skepticism as applied to those big questions.
I've done a lot. I've done cosmic skeptic, genetically modified skeptic.
So ripping up a Bible, it is destroying a symbol that is meant to take our rights away. People...
Yes, and as technically a member of the TST, the Satanic Temple, that doesn't make sense. And aligning with their ideas and manipulation of the concept of religion and extending it beyond supernatural garbage, the symbolism of tearing up a Bible is just innately ingrained in me, destroying it. Which is ironic because I'd obviously be against book burning, but in that particular case of religious texts like that, it's kind of a special case. Maybe not, depending on your POV. I'll have to think about it further. But yeah, I get it.
Misunderstand Satanism as being against Christianity. It's not a statement against Christianity, it is a statement against the symbol that is most used to cause the most harm. It's us kind of taking that symbol, destroying it as a way of saying we are no longer going to take your impositions and we are no longer going to take your oppression, and this is a...
You can tell it's a sleepy day because I just realized it'd help if I maximize the video.
Symbolic act of that.
So, as you can see, while this was inflammatory, this was not actually an anti-Christian statement. Yeah. In fact, one of the founders of TST, Malcolm Jerry, has even said that you could actually be a Christian and be a part of the Satanic Temple because it's not inherently anti-Christian.
This is true. Fundamentally, the two are completely compatible. Now, in practice, the more Christian you are by the book, the less compatible it becomes. But of course, there's the garden variety Christian, the average person, who the religion barely plays a role in their life beyond them being super faithful. And then there's the fundamentalist nut jobs out there.
Aaron Ra.
Anoint you in the ash of the false Messiah's word.
We are here today to open your mind and help you out of your delusions. Hail Satan! Hail Satan!
I mean, yeah, I find most religious concepts to be very delusional, very contrary into absolute reality. Clearly, a lot of religious people do too, because most of them don't take it that seriously, which is a thing that, the defenders of religion really have to look at, is that if so many people will consider themselves this, but all agree on relatively loose structuring of things, loose adherence to things. If it's as if every denomination, give or take, as you branch out, tends to be more and more, for lack of a better term, liberal with things, less and less convicted to a lot of elements, less dogmatic. There's always those offshoots that get really back into stuff like, fundamental Baptists and all that stuff, that become extremely strict, branching off from what were considered radical splinter groups originally. But, most people being pretty moderate on stuff should give a clue as to how, not just in a weird way that that actual reality and the faith can coexist, but the fact that most of the people who buy into this stuff, they ain't buying the whole damn thing.
Friendly atheist.
Movies and music that honor God are just awful.
Stop!
And why do I feel like this whole damn video is going to get like 20 copyright claims on it because of this shit? Just something tells me it's not going to be monetized worth a damn. So, hey, if you're feeling up to it and got the spare scratch for some super chats, that helps. Or if you're watching this after the fact, a super thanks goes a long way. Allows me to make content a little more on the edge, so to speak, be it in what I cover, how I cover it, or just the level of potential claims against the content after I do it. So, yeah, your shekels help. Also, while I kind of see where he's going with this has been 1 minute and 47 seconds of just random ass clips. Where are you going with this, dude? You haven't said anything. You haven't done anything. You haven't established anything. You're just showing clips with some editing and some music. A couple of movies. A few of random atheists. Okay, where are you going, bro? Joe's here. Hit up Joe's channel. He just had a nice little debate with 0645 2017 last night. And I was going to send you a message, Joe, but I'll tell you here, since you're here, I liked your technique going into that. I saw what you were doing. So the whole idea of having conceded ground in one way or another that some were saying, I saw it as a calculated move. I knew where you were going, and I, for one, thought it was pretty well structured. A little chaotic, but that's how every Hovind debate is inevitably going to be, no matter how hard someone tries to keep their own flow going, or Hovind tries to keep people on his script. It's gonna devolve into chaos.
It's not ancient. It's not modern. It is
Well, I think my ears are damaged from that sudden volume change. Thanks, editor. You suck.
Thinking atheist.
Wonderful. I will call you when we have the luxury of building a new world order Xanadu from absolute scratch because, you know, we have nothing more pressing to do.
Don't you dare. Don't you.
What was the point of that clip? I mean, all the clips of stuff, but that one of Seth Andrews, it's like, I don't think anyone would not be able to understand the sarcasm oozing from that comment. You don't even need to know context to get exactly where he is going with that. So what's your point, Kyle? God, what's our ratio here? We're 3 minutes in. I've been live for 10 minutes. This is going to be a long one, folks.
You dare. You are not allowed to call me, buddy.
If I pick up, I might think it's Jeff Goldblum. I'll get all excited. I'll be like, Jeff!
Yeah.
I love you in Jurassic Park. You were great as Aaron in Prince of Egypt. You know, and then he'll be like, actually, I'm sorry, it's the fucking atheist. And I'll think, I'll hang up.
Well, Joe, there appeared to be a point. If there was no point, clever illusionary. Illusionary? It was clever. There was a clever illusion of one. I don't know. I was tired. Work sucked this week. Give me a break. By the end of the week, I looked like this dude. Just like, what? I'm done. Actually, I think I looked like that at least 3 or 4 times at work yesterday. Like, what the hell is this? This is what happens when you treat ADD with Christianity. Dude, seriously. That's a perfect summation of it.
Yeah, they have some silly names, but
We see so often that these internet atheists have to put thinking, rational, skeptic in their usernames to show how rational, free, and skeptical they are about.
Yes, just like all those organizations promoting outright bigotry, hatred, inequality, always put family in their name. All the places putting conspiracy theories and stuff always have truth in their name. It's all, what are you getting at, buddy?
About everything. Is that actually true? Why do they feel the need to do this? Well, I have shown that they aren't really so skeptical.
Also, is this actually some dude's video where he's a fucking apple in like a little suit with Mario Sonic fusion hands going on and khakis and shit? My tomato ass would take your apple ass out. Wait, that sounded weird. What the hell on this channel doesn't sound weird? Continuing.
In fact, my slogan is stay skeptical, because I am the truest skeptic.
Illusory. Thank you, Joe. My brain is not working fully.
fall into the same kind of errors of...
Hey, Phantom, welcome. And we have to have the Nintendo Wii music in the background. I just want to say that while there are some fun games on that platform, and I think the actual computer architecture, being PowerPC based and the like, technically speaking, a direct evolution of the of the GameCube hardware. I love the Wii as a computer platform, but the actually playing games on the system kind of fucking sucks. And honestly, generally all around, I kind of hate the thing to actually play. And I'm really fucking sick of the music having become a meme. But of course, as soon as all the kids who grew up with a Wii as their system got, to a certain age, it suddenly became the thing. Just happened that way. Also, some of you may remember this phenomena. Whenever I'd go to houses of people who were relatively well off, far more well off than me, lived in the nice houses where they, you could actually see into the house from the outside because they didn't have like 12 layers of curtains for privacy and shit because it wasn't that kind of neighborhood. You'd go to their house and invariably there would be a big ass plasma TV in the living room with a fucking Nintendo Wii connected to it. Top tier for the time, digital display with a system that only puts out analog video. Yeah, it had component, but they never paid for the component cables, only the composite, because they didn't know jack about shit, and there was always a layer of dust on that thing. I noticed it at least 5 separate times in isolated instances, so it was just weird. Anyway, let's go back to something else I don't care about. This crap.
They're not really applying the same skepticism to their own worldview that they are to Christianity. Like, they just apply this arbitrary level of skepticism, and they don't realize that their worldview actually becomes self-refuting. And, you know, the strength of the transcendental argument is that knowledge becomes impossible.
Okay, like with the Wii, it being you know, the nunchuck and Wiimote combo, Wii remote combo. Wiimote is actually not an official term. I had to try to break myself of that, because once I realized, no, that was never what Nintendo called it, and I'm anal about that kind of stuff. That can work, but the fact that everything had to have motion controls, even if it had no business having them, in some way, shape, or form, was ass. Just like at that time with Nintendo, with the DS family of hardware, everything had to use the touchscreen in some capacity, even if it wasn't actually necessary. Now, of course, plenty of games like Pokemon and the like you could play without using the touchscreen, but it was a thing. It was a requirement that those features were there. You had to do that somewhere, and you had to use the motion controls in some way. And of course, a lot of developers did a shit job on both ends. So, yeah. I mean, obviously, like Smash Brothers, I like Brawl. Lots of other platformers and stuff. Virtual console stuff, obviously pretty cool to play. You know, there's stuff there, but for as many games as are on the system, the actual strength of the library, tiny fraction. But what a lot of people don't realize is that's a lot of Nintendo hardware. It's only recently, with like the Switch, gotten to a point where you have seemingly more hits than misses in a ratio similar to other systems. I've thought about this stuff for literally decades now, and noticed that while there's a lot of good stuff on Nintendo systems, it's a much smaller fraction of the overall library than a lot of other stuff, especially in the mid-era. You know, there's more stuff I'd want to play on PlayStation than N64. It's a lot more stuff I'd want to play on PS2 than GameCube. Anything almost on the Wii. If it's not a Nintendo first-party title, it almost doesn't matter for the most part. That's where I was, you know, that's where my feelings stem from on things. But yeah, we're here for this and not a deconstruction of the Nintendo Wii, which I have done. That's why I really like the architecture of it. Really beautifully engineered. So I kind of hate to dislike the system as much as I do. Yet I have like 5 of them. Go figure.
On their worldview. And
if everything in the world is random and evolving, then the laws of logic becoming random and evolving, the laws of physics, certainty becomes impossible, and you can never have a justified true belief in anything. The atheist argument they are making, they cannot justify to be true, because their argument is just as random as anything else in their worldview. On their worldview, why would you trust the output coming from their mouth? That is a result of the random chemicals in their brain. All atheistic worldviews lead to epistemic nihilism. Epistemology is the foundation of a worldview, and atheists have rejected the possibility of having a coherent epistemology.
when you bring these like things up about philosophy and transcendental arguments and all of this, they normally have like no idea what you're talking about. Like they just have so many assumptions. I'm sure you've seen this. I saw you did the stream on Aaron Ra on Cosmic Skeptic recently.
Yeah. With those guys, I take a slightly different approach, still in the domain of pointing out the hypocrisy, of their position. I went to British school, so I still have some Britishisms. But so like with Aaron Ra,
we have a much different way of thinking.
I was gonna say, when people make little flubs like that, for as much as I'll rip into like Hovind or somebody, you know, I flub up words a lot on, at random, and that one just made me smile because it's like, man, that's something I would end up saying, just knowing good and well it's hypocrisy. Here, I'd say hypocrisy. See, I can't even force myself to do it, but it would come by accident. I'd just be like, wait a minute, that ain't right.
Through things, and we have the same scientific method. We have the
No, you do not. Absolutely not. You have the exact opposite.
So as a Christian,
you have the exact opposite of science. Everything science is or does, faith does the exact opposite. So science cannot ever declare anything to be absolute truth. Period. That's first rule. Was that absolutely true? Yes! Science cannot say that anything.
Yes, way to mock him providing emotive accent on that point in the discussion.
Is absolute truth, and that is absolutely true, and it's not a contradiction, and everybody understands.
And cosmic skeptic, they're like appealing to all sorts of fallacies. And one of my mods says he has a drinking game every time I mention Greek philosophy. He has a drink. Well, get ready.
Okay, you know, because that's our Kyle bro here. You know, he's finally been able to grow a beard. In the videos from like 6 months to a year ago, he was still some little teen baby. So I guess this is still his parents' bedroom, but he's, you know, a slightly older, overgrown baby. I don't know. That was mean of me. I apologize, Kyle. You had a baby face in the first video I saw of you. That's all I'm saying. But if this is just gonna be clips interspersed with him and interviewing this or talking with this Gene person, I don't even know if I want to finish this. Like get to an actual point.
So you know, they'll appeal to Greek metaphysics and stuff, but then say, oh, you know, there is no God. But they're gonna appeal to Plato and Aristotle, who did believe in a God, and they hinged everything they thought on the fact that this God, whether he's the unmoved mover or the one or the good or whatever, the demiurge, you need some kind of a deity in their system. But they're just kind of taking.
Also, this text on speech thing it is really fucking killing me. And if I may go on yet another rant, I'm sorry. I know this is used in short form videos that might be watched without sound, and so it's perfectly appropriate. There is not a single goddamn reason on the motherfucking face of the universe to do this for a normal video, for a long form video. There just isn't. There's a button right the fuck here called closed captions. You click it.
From him, but like you said, they don't even know.
Come on the fucking screen. None of this is necessary, and I find it incredibly distracting. To a point where this far into a video, it's outright annoying. So that's 2 points for me saying fuck it to this video. We hit a third. I might have to just start up a second stream, because I ain't having this.
Know that they've taken from these people. So when you bring that up, it's like, no, man. I just don't believe in a God. What about all the other stuff you believe? Surely you have opinions on things other than theism. What about morality? And so it gets really interesting when you point those out.
Yeah. And I think the morality route is the easiest one to understand because it's really simple. I mean, if you're going to say something is good or bad or we should do it, just ask, well, like, why should we? There is no should. It's just what happens. I mean, nothing is telling you how the world.
Yeah, and I don't give a fuck about the is-odd argument. I really hate all this fucking philosophy being put into everything that should be so just straightforward, but isn't. The less harm something causes, odds are, the better it is for people to do, or otherwise shouldn't be restricted. It's me oversimplifying the shit. And you reverse it, more harm it causes, less good it is to do. Exceptions could be found, maybe. You know, that's where things get into people's personal opinions. But, I mean, I don't have the energy to recite it here, but that soap opera person who did the video ages ago that Aaron loves to cite as his thing on morality. That's where I go with it. Solves all the problems. You don't need any of this extra shit. You don't need magic sky daddy. You don't need some magic book of edicts. Although, ironically, we have written the various edicts of our various regions, municipalities, cultures, etc. into books. To be used as reference for these things, but you know that's just a matter of necessity because nobody can memorize every single law. But I digress.
Should be. It's just that's your opinion, and that's my opinion. And most of them they won't even admit that. Or I was an atheist. I never even thought about that because a lot of these questions were never raised to me. So if like I knew about this in like high school, and my like anarcho-communist friends are saying like capitalism is.
Well, saying the text on screen increases retention only because if people are watching it without sound on, they're able to read and follow along, which again, a lot of people are going to be doing because they're sneaking clips while they got a quick moment or something, or in otherwise areas where they can't or don't have headphones to pop in or what have you. I think this goes hand in hand with now, you having to go out and buy earbuds rather than just plug whatever headphones into your phone. So increasing retention is only by a fact of they're not missing information, which again, that information could be provided with closed captioning. So it's redundant and obnoxious. And look, I spent an hour earlier doom scrolling because I didn't feel like doing anything else. It works for short form, but one video with it coming up constantly? Nah. Same reason I'll watch, foreign language stuff with subtitles. I will. But depending on when it's from and what it is, I might actually prefer dubbed on the grounds of I can just get more into it. A lot of older anime I actually prefer dubbed over subbed. It's just me. I want to watch it. I don't want to spend my time reading it. And I can hop quick. I get tired, though. It gets real tired, especially with my kind of crappy vision, hopping from the words back up. So, yeah.
Evil and all this stuff. It's just like, well, what is evil? Like, why is it? Yeah, what is good? I mean, capitalism, communism, like, why would...
And of course he went there. Those aren't moral systems. Every time someone says communism, what they're actually arguing against is a certain economic system tied to authoritarianism. People don't actually know what communism is. They don't know what socialism is. Hell, they honestly don't know what capitalism actually is, but at least they have an idea of what they think it is that matches what everyone else thinks it is.
Would it matter either way? I mean, isn't it all kind of like meaningless?
To say to someone when talking about human rights that human rights don't tangibly exist, that's not a problem for them. They're not going to mind that because that's not what they think human rights are anyway. Whereas with religion, I think that if you say, well, look, God is beneficial to you, but doesn't actually exist, I think that's...
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm seriously losing interest in this. This is not at all what I was hoping for or expecting. And you got a $4.99 super chat from Laura. The hardest thing for me as I deconstructed was realizing that believers had to justify basic human decency and wouldn't do it without God. Yeah. It's like when they say, without God, I'd just be killing and raping and everything, stealing and everything. And I'm like, what kind of monster are you? Why would you want to do that? As other atheists will say, I do exactly as much of those things as I want to without God, which is none, because I don't want to do those things. So, Matt Powell and the like, you're a fucking monster for the fact that you act like you actually would if you didn't have Magic Sky Daddy telling you, nuh-uh. If you were a dog, you'd be put down for that kind of shit. But I mean, let's really look at this. So that 7 minutes, 43 seconds into this video and 30 minutes into my stream, we're getting absolutely nowhere. I'm barely paying attention to this, and we've talked more about the Nintendo Wii we talked more about the Wii than we have this video. There's nothing here. This is just crappy clip show.
It's going to be more troublesome to the religious believer.
I'm not making an argument for God. I was just showing.
I know you're not, yeah.
Yeah, I was just showing if this premise is, this is what we're going to discuss now. Mm-hmm. So I could cite studies where there is this benefit. Recently, Pew put out this research that belief in God makes you happier, and so on and so forth. So if that is granted, then that conclusion is valid.
What conclusion?
The conclusion that we'd have to pretend as if God exists.
These are two different types of thing, right? Religion, the existence of God, are metaphysical truth claims.
Yes.
Human rights are a moral tool.
What I'm doing here is I'm only changing the variables in your argument.
But you're changing them in such a way that can't be done, right? Like you can't just swap in something that isn't.
Ah, yes, he's a total YouTube tool with the subscribe in there, which may be from the original short. I don't know, but
of the same category.
Why not?
I mean,
Yeah, on top of that, capitalism.
He didn't have an answer because there shouldn't have been a question to follow that. I'm gonna be real. I can't finish this one. I cannot finish this video. This is absolute unwatchable fucking garbage. I expected there to be actual discussion here, and it's just been a meandering, piss poor edit of clip after clip with little sound effects and video effects thrown in, cutting in and out of these two Nimrods talking. I have had no ability to pay attention to this, and I can pay attention to a lot of bullshit. I can't believe I'm saying this. I almost would rather be watching an Amot video. Kyle, this video fucking sucks. And you should try harder. And that's coming from the moron who goes live to do his videos because he's too fucking lazy to edit anything together, worth a damn. But it's not really that. That's just what I say as comedy. It's actually a matter of I like to work on a lot of things. My time is valuable, and I find these subjects to honestly not need anything more than live, witty banter. Some fun, some laughs, spend some time with friends, and go on about my day. Whereas I don't want to know how many hours you spent sourcing all these clips and editing this together and stuff to 10 minutes in still not actually be anywhere, yet we've gone through a section called Atheist, a section called Skepticism, and a section called Ethics. Where then philosophy, I'm glad I'm cutting out early. Hey, look, there's Apple Dude again. Then pleasure, I don't even want to know. Worldviews, fucking hate that term. Epistemology, and then university. I don't know how many videos I've done on Kent Hovind, but it has to have equated to many, many days, if not at least a solid week of my life, watching that asshole's content. I can do all that. But I can't make it through this garbage. I have watched Tommy Wiseau's The Room multiple times. Willingly. And I mean watched it. I feel that Birdemic would be a better way to spend my time. Cool Cat Saves the Kids would be more fun for us to watch and rip on than this. I would rather watch Leonard Part 6. I would rather watch all 3 of the Star Wars sequels back to back. I think I'd rather watch the new Snow White than this. I'd rather watch The Acolyte than this. I'd rather watch an actual church service than this. If I'm going to spend 30 minutes watching some garbage. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to, in this stream, I'm going to find a different candidate, and we're going to have a follow-up stream. I don't know why I'm saying it like I'm someone super pissed off who's telling everyone what's going to happen, or something crazy is going to happen. I guess that's just the tone I chose for this. But yeah, we are going to end this garbage. I've said what I had to say. You suck, Kyle. You suck, Kyle. And Jeem, if you're hanging out with Kyle, you probably suck too. And I'm going to find something better. So stick to the Discord or refresh my page and wait for something new to get scheduled. Hopefully that'll be within the next 10, 20 minutes. And if you're still around, I'll see you then.